this video today, we are going to talk about the top 5 ways to get ready to be competitive and have a great experience from buying in the Portland metro area.
And in any market.
Yeah, but mostly here because that's where we
I mean, like whether it's a buyer's market or a seller's market or a balanced market.
I see what you're saying.
Just to get ready to make a purchase.
So
get your offer accepted. Which we've had great success at, by the way. Especially with people relocating.
Just get comfortable there.
Yeah.
What's up, guys? I am Tara Stone and joined by Tamara Thayer. We work with Realty Real Estate. We help a ton of people in relocating into the Portland metro area. So it's Portland, Southwest Washington, and things like that.
So if that's something that you're interested in, be sure to click like, subscribe, click the little dingy bell button so that you're informed every single time we drop our latest video, which is generally every week. Sometimes we get a little busy and we'll try every week. Hopefully we can do it. But hopefully you subscribe as well. We'd love to see you on there and get you everything that you need in order to know everything that there is to know about the Portland metro area.
Yep. So if you're thinking about relocating or moving here, our information is down below. Call, text, email, whatever you want, or you can comment down below and we will get you the inside scoop on moving here to Portland.
Day, night, weekends, holidays. One of us is generally around.
I'm not going to answer at night. So
I mean, well, you can text us. You can do all those things and we'll get back to you when we're awake and present.
Unless you're like living under a rock, you probably know there's a lot that's been going on with the housing market, generally speaking, throughout the nation. But today we're going to talk about Portland metro specifically. So we are going to talk about the top 5 things to prepare yourself, like maybe you're a first-time home buyer, or maybe you're a second-time home buyer.
And it's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. We have clients who haven't bought a house in 20 years. Yeah, the market is completely different. So there's 5 things.
And it's changing rapidly.
Actually, 5 minutes ago, it was different. So we're just going to kind of talk about the 5 things to be prepared, to get ready so that
to help you and to help us.
Yeah.
So to help you get prepared to know all of the things. And then for us, especially for you out-of-towners who are relocating and you don't know a whole lot about the area, we can help navigate what areas would benefit you and your lifestyle.
And it's very diverse.
It is very diverse. And we have so many out-of-town people. A few of the things that we do is take live video. We can FaceTime with you, as well as take video, compress it, and send it to you so that you can have it to review later.
Yeah. If you can't seem to make it here. So the first thing that we want to talk about is the language. So number 1 is the language. That means in the contracts, in the process, and all of that. So I've been in real estate for 6 years, doing mortgages before that. So the language actually matters, especially right now. There is a lot that goes into preparing yourself to be ready and also in writing an offer that will get accepted. So,
and it can be really intimidating, especially for people who haven't done it ever or haven't done it in a really long time. They may have forgotten a lot of the verbiage that's entailed in it. So some of the things that you need to know, some of the words.
One of the things that we pride ourselves on is we call a buyer consult. It's totally free. It's usually 20 to 30 minutes. We've been doing those a lot via Zoom, but we can go to a coffee shop or whatever. And we want to sit down and walk you through step by step of the process. And we will do that if you're ready to buy today. Or if it's a year down the road, it just sort of like gears you up and gets you ready and puts you into the mindset of all of the things that go along with the process. So some of the language things that you may not have heard of, earnest money is one. That's a show of good faith that you want to put down to the seller. It goes within your contract. It's usually 1% of the purchase price. So,
but also sometimes no more than $5,000 or $10,000.
$10,000 is usually the cap.
So if you're buying a $14 million home, you're still only going to put $10,000.
Well, it's probably a thing there, and there's not a lot of $14 million properties, but
like us.
Yeah, $500,000 house, think it's going to be $5,000. So the thing with earnest money is it's held with the escrow accounts. It's a neutral third party. That's another part of the language. And it goes towards your down payment.
So closing costs are really huge. So closing costs, some of it might be paid by you and some of it might be paid by the other party, depending on how you negotiate.
Most of it's by you right now.
Most of it's by you.
Seller's market,
So that means that's cash that you have to bring to the closing table. So the day that you sign the paper saying, I so-and-so hereby declare I'm purchasing this house for X dollar amount, there's a portion of that you have to come to the table with cash.
Yeah.
That includes some fees, taxes, some recording fees, some escrow and title fees, like
insurance.
A lot of different things go into that, but you need to be aware that there is a thing. Even when you have maybe a 0% down or a 3% down, 3.5%, 5%, you are still going to have to bring some cash to the closing table.
Yeah, they're usually
save some money, folks.
Yeah, if we were to average maybe 1 to 2% or something like that
of the purchase price.
Yeah. Also, we can get you kind of a preview of what that's going to look like, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. We know every single penny counts. We want to make sure you're comfortable and not stretching yourself to the limit. Another thing within the language and fees and different things like that, some people don't think about is when you get into contract on a home, you are going to hire a private home inspector. We work with some really amazing inspectors, but you have to pay them out of pocket and you have to pay them up front. So home inspection, it's usually $400 to $500 or $550, something like that.
And it can depend on how old the house is, how big the house is.
Yeah, all of that. They're going to scope your sewer line. They're going to set up and test for radon, which is a odorless gas. It's been known to cause cancer. They're going to crawl up on the roof. They're going to go into the attic. They're going to go in the crawl space. They're going to look at electrical, plumbing, all of those things. But super, super important to know about all of that. All in all, it's usually about $800. So you need to be able to budget for that as well. And that's totally separate from your down payment and the closing costs. So
one thing to note in all of these things that you have to have cash for is that generally speaking, buyer's agents get paid through the sale of the house. So it's not anything that you need to have cash in order to pay us. We are typically free. And there are some instances like for sale by owner that if the homeowner hasn't built it in there that they're going to pay us for our services, then it would be a charge. But
we can talk more about that.
Just so that you know that there isn't a lot of people, especially first-time home buyers, don't realize that for the most part buyers agents are free. There's lots of other language that we can talk about when we do our buyers consult. Don't worry about
30
that.
minutes.
We don't want this to go very long. We only have 5 minutes to talk about. So.
Yeah. Number 2 is going to be the list of your must-haves, and what that means is like. We have 4 people in our household. We need to have at least 3 bedrooms. Okay, that's a must-have. That's
We're working from home. We need to have an office, a dedicated office.
Exactly. Do you need a garage? Do you need to have a fenced yard? Different things like that. So we try to help you cultivate them by asking you questions. What are your absolute must-haves? What are some of the wants that you want on top of that? And we can start to kind of cultivate that.
If you're like, I need to have hardwood floors. Okay, well, if the house has hardwood floors with carpet on top, that's going to be okay. Or just carpet, because you can put hardwoods in later. Things like that. The things that you could potentially give up.
Or sort of
But to help us kind of figure out how to navigate your search.
Moving on to number 3, and this is talking about debt. So when you meet with the lender, and we're going to talk about that next, when you meet with the lender, they're going to pull your credit and they're going to look at your debts and your assets and your income, and they come up with this figure called DTI, which is debt to income ratio. And that means, generally speaking, they want you to be at 40%, sometimes 35% or less. And that amount includes the new mortgage amount. So they want to make sure that you're not spending your whole paycheck on the mortgage and that you have funds for other things. Yeah. So knowing how much debt you have, knowing where you're at with your credit is absolutely crucial. If you're like maxed out on one of your credit cards and you have all these late payments and collections and things like that,
you don't have the income to cover a big percentage of that.
It's not going to look good to the bank. You're going to be far too risky. So I've had clients myself. They were a year and a half out. We still met. We had them talk with the lender. You sort of get that figured out, and then you get onto a plan of here, I'm going to have these things paid off by this date, et cetera. So it's actually never too early really to kind of like start that conversation. And I know when some people are younger, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to run my credit. There's free credit things you can do. There's other things.
Full free credit. And then the debt is also the credit score. So we'll talk about that as well. So number 3 is debt and credit score.
Yeah.
So the lender can also help you figure out what credit to start paying down or how to limit that.
Boost those scores.
So your scores go up, and then it also reduces your debt to income ratio.
Yeah. And then with some of the different programs, you've maybe heard about FHA, you've maybe heard about Fannie Mae. So that's more of the conventional type. So FHA generally is if you have a lower credit score, you know,
Higher
680, something like that. So it generally like a lot of first time, home buyers, that's what they're going to go towards. But with that, if you pay less than 20% down, which you're allowed to do, you do incur something called PMI or private mortgage insurance. Gives you a couple extra $100 every month. So totally able to do and buy a house with, you know, less than 20% down, but just those are some of the terms and things that
a lot of people think that you have to have 20% down and you don't, depending on whatever.
That's like old school.
Whatever mortgage, kind of mortgage it is, it can be anywhere from 0%, 3%, 3.5%, 5% and above.
Yeah, and above with that. So I've even had clients who had the 20% and then decided to only put 10% down and then invest the money somewhere else, and or they also wanted to buy an investment property. So when you talk to one of our lenders, which is actually leading into number 4, going with a local lender, they are going to take a snapshot and look at your entire financial, the health of the financial,
that what we were talking about, the debt to ratio, your credit score,
all of that,
things.
And say to you, here are some of the options to basically set you up for success. We have so many people who are repeat clients, you know, customers. Same with the lender. It's because we're not looking short term. We're actually looking at your financial health and investment within the future for you. So
we do recommend using a local lender more so than
big box. So they're called, we won't name any names.
Internet ones out there that are like, oh, we got, you know, you get the spam of those things all the time that say we can get you
the super low rate, but then there's always hidden fees.
They get you in the long run. We have a few local lenders that we really love. And also the thing about the local lenders is all the money that you pay them goes back into the local economy. Well, the majority of it, I'm sure they go on vacation occasionally, but also like they are mostly entrepreneurs as well. So they're available nights, weekends, you know, they work really hard for you. They're not a 9-to-5er. And the ones that we use are brokers as well. So they can shop your loan to all of these different places and aren't subject to only whatever the firm is that they work for, their products that they have available.
So a lot more flexibility. We've actually made some we've made some other videos with my favorite local lender, Capital N, Mike Sullivan, and his team. He's been around for 26 years in Portland here. So think about the wealth of knowledge about the market, how it's changed, what's going on, versus somebody in big box. Like you're just going to have a lot more smooth experience. It's more curated for exactly what you're looking for. Like
right now, things are being listed and sold within a few days.
4 to 5 days.
A lot of times it's over the weekend. So when you're putting in an offer and you need what's called a pre-approval letter, again, going back to number 1, the language, you're going to need somebody who you can call, text, email, and say, hey, I need this now because we're putting in an offer. And say you want to beat out all the competition. You're like, I'm going to go hard. I'm going to give this great offer and I need this pre-approval letter now. So they stop showing the house to anybody else except my offer.
And what we've seen, and I've listed a lot of homes too. If I'm listing a house and the local lender actually sends the pre-approval and then calls me and says, these clients are bona fide, we've taken them through underwriting, you are not going to have any issues. That's a green light for me. That just says, you know what, I'm not going to have.
A lot of the time we're like, you know, these are apples to apples. We have this offer that is this and this similar, almost exact offer, but we have a big box lender versus a local lender. I would recommend taking the local lender because the transaction, especially if it's the lender that you've worked with a lot and know really well, you know what you're going to get. You know that it's going to be the finish line. It's going to be a smooth transaction.
Number 5, and this is crucial, especially with things moving so rapidly, have a budget. Not just like, hey, I went on Zillow or Redfin and I think I can afford this amount of house. So if you have not been pre-approved, you don't have a budget yet. If you're going to pay cash, you have a budget. Totally makes sense. So we want you to talk with the local lender. We want them to run your numbers, know what you're actually pre-approved for before we go out and start touring all these homes, because you're going to fall in love with something that potentially you can't afford, and then it's going to be heartbreaking. You don't want to see that.
Especially something that needs to be done now because these rates are fluctuating. So like last month, we were looking at 3%. This month, we're looking at 5%.
Well, last year.
Oh, well, last year was a couple months ago.
I know.
So, within a very
That's true.
short period of time, where we have clients who might have gotten a pre-approval letter and spoke with their lender 6 months ago.
Yeah. Now you
Right?
kind of need to update.
And they haven't seen another house that they wanted to put an offer on and haven't kept in contact with their lender. And now they're finding that perfect house and they're realizing, oh, well, shit,
I'm not approved for this
I
anymore.
can't spend this anymore because
Yeah.
now within my budget, my mortgage needs to be $2,500.
Yeah.
But now with the interest rates, it's $2,800 and I can't afford that anymore.
Yeah.
So keeping
This
keeping in contact with your lender is huge as well.
Yeah.
And the local lenders are not going to have as huge of a portfolio that they're not going to remember you.
Well, or they have a team and they're all set up and everything. Those are basically the top 5. There is a ton more that goes into buying or selling in the Portland metro area, but these are kind of the top things that we're seeing with our clients. We are well versed. We've sold so many houses to people, a lot of people who are relocating. So if you are thinking about relocating, if you're thinking about purchasing a home, first home, second home, whatever, shoot us a text, give us a call, or send us an email, or comment down below.
We love your comments anyway. If there's anything on here you were thinking about, if it's something you're like, oh, all right, well, thank you so much for this. I'm going to start working on a budget, or I'm going to start working on my debt. I'm going to ask us who our lender is. Like we said it earlier, you don't want to go back in the video and figure out who that is. We will shoot you that information, and we love to help people whether you're relocating within the city or relocating
out of the city,
into the city,
whatever the thing is. Yeah, thanks for joining us for this video. Watch for our next video in about a week from now. Have a great day, guys. Bye.